This allows me to do something that my ancestors did.
There's a good flake.
They took living to an art form. For me, this is about enjoyment. This is about learning a process. It's about handing down knowledge and tradition and skills. So for me, it's fun. My name is Matthew Griffin. I have a bachelor's degree in anthropology and a master's degree in archaeology. One of the reasons why I got into archaeology was because of projectile points. The rock itself only has a certain amount of purposes. A lot of times the Chickasaws would be able to do many things, even with one preform like this, where they would knock off all the excess stuff and then carry this around with them. Because if they needed a flake to be able to cut something like sinew or skin or something like that, they could just drive a flake off of this and then be able to do that task and throw that away. And that, in archaeology, that's what we call an expedient tool. Something like this Clovis point here, this is what we would call a curated tool because they've actually continued to use it. Over here, we have what we would find in the homelands. We have these smaller red ones here. These are actually a material called the Tuscaloosa gravels, which they would have heat treated to give it that orange tint to it. This material is very, very good for making knives or scrapers or abraders or whatever they needed to make as far as tools go. I've seen points come off archaeological sites that would be just as good in the Louvre as they would be for hunting something. These guys knew what they were doing and they did it well. We're using a pressure flaker. Today, most people use copper because it's a nice malleable metal. It's really easy to work with and whatnot. Back in traditional days, you would see a toolkit reminiscent of this. This is an elk antler billet. It's good, heavy. It's, good for knocking off large pieces. They'd have used a rock where I have a grinding wheel here. They would have used this rock to knock off loose edges and stuff like that. And then an antler tine they would have sharpened to be able to flake and pressure flake along the edges to make that sharp edge that we notice when we see points and other works done. If I could accomplish anything, it's just to keep this going. Me taking this here and hitting a flake that way and getting it to do what I want it to do, there's a feeling of accomplishment to do that. I'd like to thank my grandfather. The one thing that he instilled in me from seeing what all he did was something that he learned from his ancestors and the people that he was around. And that was the ability to do the best job that you can. It's something that, I've taught my nephew. My nephew is an archer and he's learning how to do that, which is a traditional type of thing. Those little things are what are helping to keep the Chickasaw Nation moving in the tradition of holding on to what actually made the Chickasaws the Chickasaws.